I wrote a feature-length screenplay in under 2 years. It was my first time doing it. It turned out great, and I did not suffer from writer's block at all. And that was not a coincidence, okay? And I want to share with you the exact process that I followed, because maybe you want to write a screenplay, maybe you want to write a book or a blog or any creative project that you're working on, but you keep thinking that you are getting stuck with writer's block or some creative roadblock. And there are very tangible things that I did that you can also implement that are going to allow you to keep on flowing and finish whatever it is that you're working on. And by the way, if you don't have any reference, writing a screenplay for a first timer in under 2 years, it's quite decent, because later on I ended up befriending Hollywood producers, movie directors, actors, and all of that stuff, you know, people from Netflix, HBO, and they told me, like, for a first timer, under 2 years, that's solid. And keep in mind, that was like a 2-year break that I had, because I had made a bunch of money online with online businesses that I had. So basically I decided, okay, I'm gonna move to Bali, relax for a couple years. And I took on this project like, okay, I'm just gonna write a movie screenplay. So anyways, let's get started. The first thing that I wanna mention is that I knew what I was doing, because in a way I had a mentor. But this was before I made all the connections, right? At the beginning, I didn't know nobody. I had no help. And the thing that I see a lot is, I went to the subreddit of screenwriters a couple times, and I see so many people that are so lost. They don't know what to do, they don't know how to do anything, basically, okay? They ask questions about every single thing. But the thing is that if you have a general framework and a clear understanding of all the things that you need, not all the details, you know, but an overall picture of what is it that you need, that's gonna give you enough to just get going, right? And I got really lucky, because what made me decide to start writing a screenplay was to stumble across this website that I'm showing you right now here. This website is from Michael Arendt. It's a guy that won an Oscar for writing Little Miss Sunshine. He also wrote Toy Story 3, Star Wars movie, I think, and I don't know, a lot of stuff, basically. Really good writer. And on his website, he has a few videos about screenwriting, but this one called Endings, this is an absolute masterpiece. I saw this video before I decided to start doing screenwriting. I watched this thing and I was like, man, this is something that I want to do. This is something that I could do. But what's interesting is that once I watched this, I didn't feel like I needed anything else. That's all I needed. Then I did watch a few of the other ones, but honestly, like, within this video are all the things you need to know, for the most part, like, honestly, 90% of it about screenwriting. So finding a really good source of a framework of all the things that you have to do, that's gonna give you a lot of it. That's gonna give you a huge advantage, right? And basically, on this video, it explains the entire structure of what makes a good movie. And what I did was to break down all the things that he explained into single elements, you know, like, okay, the movie starts this way, then you have this thing, that thing, that thing, that thing, you know. And then I had like this blueprint, even though a lot of people hate it with movies, like, oh, movies are not a formula and all that stuff. Well, that's a big debate that we could have, but at least I had something to follow, and that was really, really, really helpful. And what I did is I created this document, okay? What I'm sharing with you right now, this took me a lot of work, okay? I'm giving you this for free, but I mean, basically it's taken from his video, but basically I turned it into a spreadsheet, and here you have all the elements, step by step, of a story, right? So here is your story, and then you have each color represents a different arc. Okay, let me move like this. So here, the pink one is the first act, second act is the blue one, in red you have the third act, and below you have all the elements that you need on that block, right? So at the beginning you have the opening, right? And this is the description of the opening. This is what you need, right? You establish the backstory, main characters, yada, yada, yada. Then it's really important that you show your character doing that thing that they love or hate the most, or doing what defines them as a person, and you write here whatever it is about your character, right? Oops. Then on the third block, same thing, like your character needs a flaw, yada, yada, yada. Like if you fill out all these things from beginning to end and you develop your story within this framework, that's it. Like, that's the magic formula. I'm giving you, like, it is so good, actually. It took me a long time actually to do this. This video that's an hour and a half, I probably watched it for like 40 times. I'm fairly certain I watched this thing 40 times because every time that I watched it, I picked up on something new that I had not realized before on the video, okay? And it was such a headache to create this document, okay? So this gave me an amazing framework of what is it that I had to do and I had to follow. So this was number one. Now, once I had this, so we can write this a little bit. So the framework, right? Number one, a framework to follow. Now, number two was to make my own outline, right? An outline, having an outline, which you could argue the framework can act like as an outline. But the thing is that the outline is really important that follows no format. You have absolute flexibility. So my outline was just a 10-page document of all the things that I had in my mind that I wanted to happen in the movie. No format, okay? I don't even know if I had paragraphs, honestly. It was just like line after line after line after line. There was dialogue mixed with description of scenes, with places, with absolutely everything, because this is just for me. It's for no one else. It's just for me to be able to visualize the whole story, where things are going, and just work on my idea, okay? Once I had the outline, then I tried to put that into the framework. And that's when I was able to see what things I was missing, right? Because maybe I had worked on this and this and this, but I was missing this, you know, like I had not created a scene or a moment in which we could see what the character loves or hates, you know, so that we can connect, understand the background of it, etc., etc. And same like with every other part of the story, right? Now, once I had that, so once I had everything inside the framework, so I had translated the outline into the framework, that's when I have to do the first run to write the first draft of the script, you know. And it's really important that when you write the first draft, now it's when we're gonna talk about writer's block, okay? This is the part where people, I think, they usually get stuck, which honestly, a lot of times they get stuck because they're missing this, okay? Because they don't really have a framework, they don't have an outline, they don't know where they're going. If you don't know where you're going, you're gonna get stuck. Yes, you know, watch as many videos as you want of genius writers who are like, no, I just, you know, like Quentin Tarantino. He's like, I don't know what's gonna happen. I just sit down and I let their characters do their thing, yada yada. Amazing. Are you Quentin Tarantino? I'm not. Okay, so I need to do it this way. Yes, there are parts of the movie that I've improvised, but not that much. Okay, I'm not a genius writer by any stretch of the imagination. If you want to pretend that you are, I mean, I don't even know why you're watching this video, so humble down because there's so many cocky writers. But anyways, very dumb arguments about this whole thing. So have an outline. It really, really helps to know where you're going. It's very, very key. So the first draft, as I was saying, right? So first draft. Now, writer's block. You know what writer's block is? Writer's block is the idea of perfection. The reason why you get writer's block, if you have an outline and you have a framework, if you have this and you know where you're going, but you still have writer's block, that's because on your mind you're visualizing the perfect script or the perfect book, the perfect line of dialogue, the perfect something. But the thing is that writing is rewriting. Okay, one of my friends that's been a Hollywood producer for over 20 years, that's something that he always used to tell me, like, writing is rewriting. Nothing that you write the first time is gonna stick, you know. It's not gonna be like that. You're gonna write it one time and then rewrite it again and then write it again and again and again and again. Okay, I have a background in copywriting, and it's the same thing, you know. You write a funnel, you write a website, a headline, whatever, and you're like, you look at it and then you're like, it's good, but I don't like this word, let's change it up. And you know, this, put it at the beginning, and then just this, cut it off, you know. And it's like this iteration process of making something better and better and better. And that's exactly the same thing with your script. And once you truly understand this, once you understand deep down that in order to attain perfection, you have to go through shit, you have to go through low quality work, that's when you truly start to make progress, okay? It's not that you get a diamond out of nothing. No, you get a boring, ugly stone and you polish it, you clean it, you do this, that, until eventually it turns into a diamond. That's basically what writing is. And writer's block comes from not understanding this, okay? This is so key. So I can imagine that it's easy for you to understand now that if you have the outline, you have the framework, you know where the story is going, right? Because you're looking at the framework here. By the way, I'm gonna give you a link to the description where you can download this and you can use it for yourself, for your own movies, your own projects, whatever it is that you're doing. If you have this, you know exactly what's happening. You know where you're going, you know how things are developing and everything, which, by the way, later on we can talk about how to develop ideas. It's another topic that we can discuss. But that's the thing, like once you have this, writing the first draft is going to be very easy. I think I wrote my first draft in like 1 or 2 weeks. That was actually the shortest part of the entire work, right? Building the framework took me a long time. This thing that right now you're getting for absolutely free, because at the end of the day it's not mine. I mean, yes, I did translate this video into this and it took me like a lot of work, but it's not mine, so yeah, I'm just gonna give it to you for free. And the outline took me a lot. This one took me months, you know, to actually figure out, okay, what is it that I want to do with my movie and all that stuff. Later we're gonna talk about how to make good ideas, but yeah, the first draft, it's just a week, okay? That it's very, very quick to get that. Then once you have this, it's all about rewriting, right? So step 4 is rewriting. Well, I'm cutting you off with my own camera. Rewriting, right? This, it can take a lot, okay? But the good thing is that the easy part about rewriting is that you already have the heavy burden, you know, you've taken off like the heavy load, I mean, of work. It's already done, because now you can just sit down, relax. You're not intimidated by that blank page anymore. Now you can just sit down and you're like, I don't like this sentence. I don't like the way this scene flows. I don't like the way this character talks. And now you work at it and you change something and you change and you change. Now, within this process, you have to have a lot of patience. And here's a big piece of advice, okay? Pay attention. This is really important. When you have a whole script, okay, say that I think my first draft was 150 pages or 60, I don't know, but it was very long. It was way too long. The script at the end, I think I ended up doing 116 or 17 pages. That was my final, which some people would argue that for a first time writer, it's still too long. You should aim 90 or 100, you know, first timer. But anyways, what's important to understand, and the piece of advice that I want to give you, is that once you have that first draft, there's gonna be a lot of mistakes and it can be overwhelming to fix them, and you might get stuck because you don't know exactly how to proceed, right? So say you have these 160 pages and you're like, man, I don't know how I'm gonna fix this whole thing, you know, because there's things about the ending that I don't like and I don't know how to make it work. There's this character that doesn't make any sense. There's this part of the movie that I think it should be here, but if I put it here, then this other section makes no sense. You know, it's like all of a sudden you have like this whole thing that's like, how the hell am I going to fix this? Like, this is impossible. It's so intimidating. It's really difficult actually to write a script. But here's the thing. It's very important. Just take it. I know it's gonna sound super simple and like I'm oversimplifying, but this is so true. Take it one step at a time. Do one thing. It doesn't matter what it is. Okay, you have, let's say you have 30 problems, 40 problems, 400 problems within your script, and you don't know, or you don't even know what problems you have on your script. I'm sure you know about one. Just focus on one thing that you can do. You do not need to know how things are going to turn out in the end. I mean, how are you going to fix other issues that you might have? Just fix one by one. And what's interesting is that this approach is the exact same thing in every area in life, right? So in business, it's exactly the same thing, right? You want to launch a business, but you have no clue about how to do this and how to do that. And it's like, dude, it doesn't matter. Just do the first thing. Once you know how to take the next step, and you take that next step, and then once you do, you're gonna see what is it that you need to do next, okay? Because once you move forward, then you're gonna have a wider field of vision from your new position. So you're gonna realize like, okay, I fixed this character now. Now that I fixed this guy, I understand like this scene is not fitting, so actually this scene can be completely removed, which in a way now I see that this allows me to move this scene here, which is gonna make a lot more sense. And with this new scene, I get a new perspective. You read it again, and now I understand what was missing about the ending. The ending was not making sense because this character at the beginning, yada yada yada. You see, like, this is how you actually do it, one step at a time. You don't have to understand everything in your head at the beginning or in the middle or at any point of the development or the story. Just take it one step at a time. This is actually the biggest piece of advice that I think you're gonna learn in this video. This is so big, this is huge. And by the way, if you're curious, I guess you're not, because I guess you know about screenwriting, but the software that I used to write my script, it's called Final Draft. I think it's the best one by far, so just buy it. It's already going to format everything for you. I think I've seen people like ask a lot of questions about formatting. Dude, just Google everything. Everything's on Google. It's gonna take you like a couple days to understand how to format a script. And here's the thing, like, if you have questions about formatting, books, movies, scripts, whatever, do not ask people how to do it. Just go and read scripts. That's something that I used to do. So for example, I really like this movie Her. Do you know how many times I've read this script? So many. And on my website I have a list of my top 100 favorite movies. I've read so many scripts from there. In fact, what I used to do many times was to have a movie playing on this screen, on the main screen that I have, and then here I have another screen, and I would have the script there. And as I'm watching the movie, I would be reading the script, you know, and this really helped me to visualize how the things you write can then turn into a visual thing, right? Then it would be really helpful if you can find a group, okay? If you can make connections with people that are in the industry or they're doing similar things. That's for another topic, or you can just leave me a comment and maybe we can talk it about in the comment, like how to make connections within the industry. But the thing is that it's really important that you get feedback, okay? You get people to read your work. So I did table reads with actors, with movie directors, Hollywood producers, all of that stuff. And that's really, really valuable because they're gonna allow you to see things that you cannot see for yourself, okay? So 100% try to find people in which you can share the script with and basically get feedback. Now for the question on how to get good ideas, right? Because a lot of people struggle with this. As I was saying at the beginning, if I can find it, I was assuming here that you already know what is it that you want to write about, like what idea you have and all of that. If you don't know or you don't have an idea, well, I guess you have the basic idea of it. But for me, in my case, it was just conversations that I used to have with people, you know? So I ended up writing sci-fi, and for me, it was just a conversation that I had with a friend of me just trying to guess how things within society were going to develop. And I think it was a really good guess. So that's what the movie ended up just being about, you know, like, oh, if this thing develops this way, what would society look like? Oh, that's how it would look like. Oh, imagine a movie about that. And then you just make it interesting, right? You start to develop a plot around it. You add characters and situations and all of that stuff. And it's just a lot of work visualizing, you know? And that's all the work within the outline. I would say outlining is probably the most relaxed or non-active part of the job, because you're just sitting, trying to think of ideas, and yeah, just sitting, thinking of ideas, trying to come up with new ideas. And one thing that really helps is if you have the framework at the same time. That's why I said to have the framework first, because I assume many of you, maybe you're stuck in the outline because maybe you have the beginning, you have the end, but the part in the middle, you're not sure what is it that you should have. Well, that's when you go to the outline, right? You go to the framework, I mean, and you're like, okay, what is it about a second act that I need? And you can also go and you can watch similar movies to the ones that you're writing, you know. For me, I think I was struggling with the beginning of my movie, and especially the part after the inciting incident, you know, like how do I set up this new world, this new reality in which they find themselves in. And I watched that part of the Matrix, I think so. I watched the Matrix, the beginning of it, the first act, I don't know, 20 times, 30 times, over and over again, you know, trying to understand what is it that makes it interesting, what is it that makes it appealing to the story, to the viewer, I mean. So it's just a matter of patience and putting in the work and just sitting there and trying again and again and again. But if you find yourself getting stuck, like completely stuck, there's something that you're doing wrong here, okay? Because you should always be moving, in my opinion, okay? And that's about it, honestly. I guess I could keep going longer, but those are the basics. I think this video is already way too long. If you have any question, you can drop it in the comments. If you're an agent or a producer and you want to see the movie that I wrote, hit me up, send me a message. We have a pitch deck, everything's copyrighted, and I can send you the script and all of that stuff. And that's about it, honestly. So let me know what you think, drop a comment, subscribe to the channel and all of that good stuff, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace.